2 or 3 years ago when we started engaging the Earth Shield and started engaging in looking at what was operating on the Earth and in the Earth and behind a lot of these systems. You know, you saw what God's desire was, then you saw the counterfeit, and you saw the beings that were behind the counterfeit, and then you need to engage those beings. And there were 3 beings we came across who were operating. There were groups of beings, but of an order, operating in Yellowstone Park in the US. Devastation, disaster, and destruction. 3 beings who were looking to bring about destruction through the Supervolcano, which is in Yellowstone Park. And if that went off and it erupted, the whole of the US could be covered in ash. It could crop failure. It would basically wipe out, you know, that whole thing. So we saw it. We saw their agenda and we engaged them. We saw in the engagement what their strategy was. We turned them and saw them restored, and they were restored to their original names and identities, which was conservation and preservation and construction. And then we found out what they did through history, where they were involved in so-called natural disasters and all sorts of things. They were behind causing destruction through war and other things. And they were using people and manipulating people and controlling people and to bring about destabilization of the world, so there would be no peace. And then in the crises that ensued in all these situations, the same people made the money and took control. So we need to make sure that those things don't operate. They don't operate and bring disaster and destruction and devastation, whether it be through floods or whether it be through famines or whether it be through other things, whether it be through eruptions or earthquakes or tsunamis or other things where they use so-called natural things, the wind and rain and other things, to bring about these crises. And then those crises effectively then are manipulated by the same people. So we need to make sure that those beings are not operating that way, and be wise and operate in the Earth Shield and shield the Earth from influence from the outside. And so we're also able to see the strategies that's going on the Earth. And when I was looking and we were observing, they were just dark pockets, you know, just pockets of darkness where I couldn't see into them. So it was like they were shielded, so you couldn't see what was going on. So we had to penetrate that shield, penetrate the darkness with light. And then when we saw what was going on and we saw those beings, then we saw them restored. And that was just 1 each who were operating in Yellowstone Park. There's obviously a whole load of them operating around the world. So we need to target them for restoration to make sure that they're not going to be facilitating these crises that go on and on all the time. But we need peace. And that means not just peace with no lack of war, conflict between people. We need planetary peace. We need peace from the Earth's core, the Earth's crust. We need the tectonic plates to come back into a peaceful existence and not be in tension and not be producing earthquakes and eruptions and all that sort of stuff. You know, so we need to start legislating for a global creational restoration and work together for the cooperation of the planet as sons of God, because that's the sons of God. It's our responsibility as sons of God to administrate the freedom of creation. You know, so you know, that means working with the elementals. It means working to make sure that what's going on the earth is operating in peace. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.